All right, so today we are diving into something that I think a lot of our listeners are going to find pretty useful,
Yeah.
especially those folks who are planning a trip to Thailand sometime soon. You know, that whole visa application process, it can be such a pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Thailand is about to change all that with a new e-visa system.
It's going to be huge, especially for anyone who's ever had to deal with that old paper process. Starting January 1st, 2025, they're going fully digital for travelers from most countries, at least.
Wow. So that means no more hunting down those passport photos or stressing about embassy hours. That's great news. So is this a brand new thing, or have they kind of been testing it out a bit before just launching it to the whole world?
Well, they actually have been running a pilot program since 2019. They started with travelers from Beijing. You can almost think of it like a tech startup does a beta test. But for visas, they've been gradually expanding it,
Hmm.
making sure that it's all user friendly and everything is working properly before they launch it globally.
Yeah, that's a smart move. So, okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty. How does this whole e-visa thing actually work?
Okay, so the website is thayavisa.go.tkif. Pretty easy to remember. And you create an account, which is great because you can reuse that account for future trips. So that's really handy for people who travel to Thailand a lot.
Yeah, frequent flyers rejoice.
Exactly. And then you just follow the steps. It's designed for 247 access, so you can literally apply anywhere, anytime.
That is amazing, especially for, those last-minute travel decisions.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk documents. What do people need to have ready when they apply?
All right, so the main things are a scan of your passport bio page, make sure all the details are nice and clear, and a recent photo. That meets their requirements.
So no blurry selfies.
Definitely not. No old passport photos either.
Got it. Okay, so now for the big question. How much does this e-visa cost? And can you just pay for it online?
Well, they are working towards global online payment, but there's
Mhm.
a little bit of a hiccup right now for certain countries. So,
Yeah.
depending on your nationality, you might still have to show proof of payment at a Thai embassy or consulate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's important to double check the specific
Yeah.
requirements. For your location,
Good point. So once you've got everything uploaded and paid for, how long does it usually take to actually get the e-visa?
well, on average, it takes about 5 to 10 working days to process a complete application. But, sometimes things happen, so it's always smart to give yourself a little bit of extra time just in case there are any delays. And also keep in mind any embassy holidays.
Right, of course. Better safe than sorry. And how long is the e-visa good for? I don't want to apply too early and then have it expire before my trip.
Yeah, good question. Most e-visas will be valid for 60 to 90 days from the
Mhm.
date they're issued, so you don't need to apply super early, maybe like 1 to 2 months before your trip, just to be on the safe side.
Okay, so no last-minute scrambling, but no need to rush either. Sounds pretty convenient so far.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's one of the biggest benefits of this whole system. No more
Mm.
paper forms, no more embassy visits, no more trying to figure out their office hours. You can apply from anywhere in the world at any time.
Yeah, I've got to say, that alone is a huge win for me. So besides just the convenience factor, what other advantages does this e-visa system have?
Well, for one thing, the processing time is faster. So you can get your visa sorted out quicker,
Yeah.
which just gives you more time to focus on the fun stuff like
Yeah.
planning your itinerary, booking excursions, all the things that get you excited about the trip.
Absolutely. But what about security? Are there any benefits there?
For sure. So the e-visa system uses digital verification and secure data sharing, which not only protects your personal information, but also makes things much smoother when you arrive in Thailand. They can share data with aggregation in real time, so it should be a much smoother entry process and better border control overall.
So it's a win-win.
Exactly.
Now, you mentioned earlier that this e-visa system covers different categories of visas, but are there any exceptions? Does everyone need to go through this process?
So there are a few exceptions. Right now, there are 93 countries that are exempt from needing a visa. For tourists, stays up to 60 days.
So if you're from one of those lucky countries, you're all set.
You're good to go.
But for everyone else, the e-visa is the way to go.
Pretty much.
All right, so double check those visa requirements, folks. Before you book that flight, are there any other exceptions that people should know about?
Well, the e-visa system covers most visa types, but there is one notable exception: the privilege entry visa. For Thailand elite members, that's a whole different program.
Interesting. So for most travelers, the e-visa system is going to be the standard. But like with anything new, I imagine there are some potential pitfalls,
Yeah.
things that people should watch out for.
You're right. The Thai embassy has actually pointed out some common mistakes that people make when they're applying, which can lead to rejections, and you definitely don't want to have to deal with that.
Okay, so spill the tea.
Yeah.
What are the top things that trip people up?
Well, one of the biggest culprits is incorrect information on the application. I know it seems obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people rush through it and make typos or enter details that don't exactly match their passport. And any errors, even minor ones, can mean you have to start over and pay the fee again.
Ouch, yeah, that's definitely something you want to avoid. What else?
Another common problem is poor document quality. The system is pretty strict about this, so make sure your scans are clear, legible, and meet all their specifications. No blurry photos, no screenshots.
Got it. High quality scans are key. Any other advice to help people avoid any headaches?
Yeah, definitely. Make absolutely sure you submit a complete application. Double check that checklist of required documents. Make sure you've uploaded everything. And make sure it's all in the correct format. The system won't even process your application until it's complete, so don't rush through it.
Solid advice. It sounds like this e-visa system is going to make things a lot easier for travelers to Thailand. But it's important to pay attention to those details. Double check everything, follow the instructions carefully, and you should be good to go.
Exactly. And, if anyone's feeling a bit overwhelmed by all this, the system really is designed to be user-friendly. There are resources out there like video tutorials to walk you through the process. And if you have any questions, you can always contact the Thai embassy. They're there to help.
Great. So take your time, do your research, and don't hesitate to reach out for help if you need it. After all, once you've got that e-visa sorted, you can focus on all the amazing things you're going to do in Thailand. Now, this whole shift towards digital visas, it really makes you wonder, could this be the future of travel documents worldwide?
It's a fascinating question, and it raises so many more questions. What would this mean for security and privacy? What about the impact on tourism on a global scale? It's definitely something to think about as you're planning your next adventure. But for now, let's take a closer look at what this e-visa system could mean for Thailand itself.
Okay, I'm all ears. What are some of the potential benefits and challenges that Thailand might face in rolling out this new system? And how might all of this affect travelers in the long run?
Well, let's start by looking at the bigger picture. This move towards digital visas. It's not just happening in Thailand. We're seeing more and more countries around the world embracing digital solutions for travel documentation. It's really changing the landscape of international travel. Yeah, it really is a global trend. Makes you wonder if those little passport stickers are going to become a thing of the past.
Right. Will we all be just flashing QR codes at immigration in a few years?
It's definitely a possibility. But with that comes, a whole new set of questions. On the one hand, you have the convenience, the security, the efficiency of digital visas. But then you also have to think about data privacy, potential hacking vulnerabilities. What happens if the system crashes?
That's like a double-edged sword. We gain convenience, but maybe we lose some control over our personal information.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important for governments to have really strong security measures in place and be transparent about how they're collecting, storing, and using that data. Travelers need to know that their information is being handled responsibly.
Transparency and trust are key. We as travelers, we need to stay informed about our data rights and how to protect our privacy, especially in this digital age.
Absolutely, it's a shared responsibility. Speaking of responsibility, one of the articles we have today actually goes into the potential impact of this new system on tourism in Thailand.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that. The economic side of things is always interesting.
Right, so the article makes the argument that by making the visa process easier and more accessible, Thailand could see a pretty significant boost in tourism revenue.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. The easier it is to visit a country, the more likely people are to actually go.
Exactly. And Thailand is already an incredibly popular tourist destination, so this could really take them to a whole new level.
It's a smart move, for sure. And it's not just about attracting more tourists, is it? It's about attracting the right kind of tourists.
That's a really important point. With a digital system, they have better tracking and screening capabilities, so they can focus on attracting visitors who are genuinely interested in experiencing Thai culture and contributing to the economy in a positive way.
So it's about quality over quantity,
Exactly.
creating a more sustainable and authentic tourism experience for everyone involved.
Right, and it all ties back to that security aspect we were talking about.
Yeah.
A more robust system for vetting travelers enhances security overall and reduces the risk of things like visa overstays.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's fascinating to see how Thailand is really taking the lead in this whole digital travel space. But,
Yeah.
let's not forget about those potential pitfalls that we were talking about earlier. One of the articles also brought up concerns about technical glitches or system failures. That's something I've been thinking about too.
Yeah, it's a valid concern. Any system, no matter how well designed, can have technical issues. And
Yeah.
when you're dealing with something as important as travel documents, even a small glitch can have a huge impact on travelers.
Oh, totally. Imagine getting stuck at the airport because the e-visa system is down. What a nightmare.
Exactly. So it's really important for both the Thai authorities and travelers to have backup plans, just in case something unexpected happens.
So for someone listening right now who's thinking about planning a trip to Thailand, after this e-visa system goes live, what are the key takeaways? What should they keep in mind?
Okay, so first and foremost, be informed and be prepared. Familiarize yourself with the whole e-visa process well in advance of your trip. Understand all the requirements, the fees, those potential pitfalls we've been talking about.
Don't forget those high-quality passport scans and photos.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's also a good idea to stay updated
Yeah.
on any announcements or changes to the system. It's still relatively new, so there might be some tweaks along the way.
Right. Stay flexible.
Exactly.
Now, the article also mentioned something really interesting about the potential for e-visas to be linked to other digital services in the future. Like imagine your e-visa connected to your digital wallet, your travel insurance, even your hotel bookings.
Yeah, that would be amazing. It could streamline the entire travel experience.
Talk about convenience.
Right.
It sounds like this is just the beginning of a much bigger transformation in how we travel.
I think so. It's a glimpse into a future where travel is seamless, personalized, interconnected in ways we can only imagine right now. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. There are still some very real challenges that Thailand might face in rolling out this e-visa system.
Okay, let's bring it back down to earth.
Yeah.
What are some of those hurdles they might encounter?
Yeah.
And how could they impact travelers? So we were just talking about some of those challenges that Thailand might face as they roll out this new e-visa system. When you think about a digital shift of this scale, what are some of the things that come to mind?
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges, and it's something the article mentions as well, is the issue of digital literacy and access. Not everyone around the world has equal access to technology or the same level of comfort using online systems.
Yeah, that's a really important point. It makes me think about older generations who might not be as tech savvy, or people in rural areas who might not have reliable internet access. So how can Thailand make sure that this system is really accessible to everyone?
It's a tough question, and it's definitely something they need to consider carefully. I think they'll need to provide very clear instructions, offer multiple language options, and maybe even have alternative ways to apply for people who can't easily use the online system.
Right. It's about making sure that no one gets left behind
Okay.
in this transition to a digital system.
Exactly.
And it's not just about the technical side of things either. It's also about being culturally sensitive.
Yeah.
Different countries have different norms and expectations when it comes to digital services.
Absolutely. They need to tailor the system to meet the needs of a global audience, which means understanding things like cultural nuances, language barriers, and even potential anxieties people might have about sharing their personal information online.
It sounds like a complex undertaking.
It is. But if they can do it well, it could make travel more equitable and more enjoyable for everyone.
Now, another challenge that I think often gets overlooked with these big technology rollouts is the human element,
Right.
training and capacity building.
Yeah, you can have the most amazing technology in the world, but if the people using it aren't properly trained, it's not going to work.
Right.
So they're going to need to provide a lot of training for embassy staff, immigration officials, even airline personnel, anyone who interacts with travelers who are using these e-visas.
It's a huge undertaking.
It is.
But it's so important. Okay, so before we wrap things up, I want to shift gears a bit and talk about something more practical. One of the articles we have goes into detail about some of the common mistakes that people make when they're applying for e-visa.
Oh, yeah, little things that can trip you up
Yeah.
and cause delays or even rejections. No one wants to deal with that.
Exactly. So let's break it down. What are some of the most common mistakes?
Well, the number one mistake, and it might seem obvious, is providing incorrect information on the application. People rush through it. They make typos. They enter details that don't match their passport perfectly. And any discrepancies, even small ones, can lead to a rejection.
So double check everything.
Absolutely.
Make sure it all lines up with your passport.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Another common issue is poor document quality. I know it's tempting to use an old photo you have lying around, or just take a quick selfie, but the system is really strict about photo quality. It needs to be a recent photo, high resolution, and it has to meet all their specifications.
Okay, so invest in a good photo.
Yeah, it's worth it.
And speaking of documents, let's not forget about those scans.
Right.
No blurry scans, no screenshots, just clear, legible images.
Exactly.
And last but not least, make sure you submit a complete application.
Yes. Double check that you've uploaded all the required documents and that they're all in the correct format.
All right, so to sum it all up, it sounds like this e-visa system has the potential to really change the way people travel to Thailand.
I think so.
But as with any new system, there are some things to be aware of.
Definitely.
Be prepared, be informed,
Mm.
and be adaptable.
And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out for help.
Exactly. And once you have that e-visa all sorted out, you can focus on the fun part, planning all the amazing things you're going to do in Thailand.
That's what it's all about.
All right, well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Thailand's new e-visa system. We hope you found it helpful, and we'll see you next time.